Hey everybody, welcome back. Video time for Doom Kit. Already saw it, you guys saw it, so I'm not going to go through that in major detail. I'm really just going to talk about my thoughts with it, so obviously we'll go through it as I'm looking at it. Does this guy have weaknesses? Is there things that I'm personally concerned about with him, or is he just really an OPAF? Like a mobile gamer said in his video, as everybody's kind of saying. And I'm going to use a couple takes from OMG's video. I did talk to him about it. He's cool with it. So for anyone wondering, that conversation was had. We like to respect each other in our content, so we make sure to do those types of things. So anyway, I'm just going to dive in, kind of, like I said, give you my thoughts, concerns. This guy got a weakness or not? Who am I going to pair him with? That type of stuff. All right? So let's go check it out.
Bring me WolverThor!
So first up, like I mentioned, OMG had this video today where, you know, he went through the kit with Cerebro. They did a really good job kind of going through the kit, and I like how OMG kind of orchestrated the conversation to start from the passive to kind of work backwards so that as a player you could understand, you know, how is this guy going to work? You know what I mean? So I really like that aspect of it, you know, and it really did seem kind of like a, you know, it's all about the Doom bots and getting kind of that to that ultimate with multiple bots. And because of the speed bar aspect that we're going to go to in a second, it's pretty easy to do. So question really becomes is there a way to prevent some of this stuff from happening, right? And, you know, I suppose there probably is because there's speed aspects, right? So anyway, we'll get into some of that stuff. First, let's kind of generically kind of talk about this kit and my concerns about the kit. So the Ultron bot's already got Doom's kit in it, pulled obviously from the video with OMG. So it's nice to see kind of in text here where we can just kind of quickly go through this as opposed to, you know, finding different spots in the video. This makes it a little bit simpler to talk to you guys about. And I'm going to do the same thing that Mobile Gamer did, where he kind of starts with the passive because that is a big part to kind of know. So, you know, the on-turn aspect where you get the Doom bots, that's awesome. So really for his kit, it's going to be about getting those turns. So as a counter, you're going to look at something for how am I going to prevent this guy from either getting turns or pulling off some of his abilities. But regardless, on turn, he's going to be summoning these bots, right? So then he's got a synergy with the Fantastic Four. This is kind of small. I kind of thought for a second, well, didn't they just put She-Hulk in here? Is he really going to take her spot, or is there a way to bring her in? Maybe lose Thing and have the other three? You know, Johnny, Sue, and Mr. Fantastic. You know, we'll see. You know, maybe that's a more defense type thing that could really cause a lot of problems because if people get stuck on She-Hulk and she's healing herself, and you've got Dr. Doom with a heal that we're going to get into in a second, that could be pretty frightening. So he's got this synergy that if any of them drop below 50% health, they get ability energy and fill their speed bar. On stun, you clear the stun and you slow them down. So stun is still, like someone like a Proxima Midnight, still could be useful at some point, depending when she's going, when he's going, or somebody with an early stun, like a first turn stun. It's kind of like, you know, all right, how many first turn off the bat stun? Mantis, if she gets a charge, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, there aren't a ton of characters out there. Black Widow's stun doesn't come to second turn. Same with Proxima Midnight. And truth be told, I think the only character that really has another guaranteed first turn stun is Graviton. And so maybe you could do some combinations here with, you know, getting a stun in there, getting somebody to ability block first turn, which there are several, and then, you know, maybe Symbiote Spider-Man extend. We'll see. I don't know. So, but the slow does benefit things. And then you get some damage and focus increase for the Fantastic Four and a ton of extra health. The 50% extra health is gigantic. So you really like seeing that huge health pool. So the passive in itself is pretty simple. It's really, you know, it's just about those Doom bots, and, you know, that's just on turn. So the next ability up here is obviously not the ultimate because that's got, you know, 2 more turns to get to. But it's the special, and this special is just a giant attack and getting heal block out there. So 1 turn heal block. This attack gains 100% damage per Doombot ally. So at that point, you should really just have 1. So it's a 600% damage attack. It's clearing all death proof from the Doombot allies, and obviously he's blowing them up. So okay, it's like, all right, so you're basically doing a big hit, you know, first. So after the special, you're waiting a few turns to eventually get to his ult. And what I mean by that is you're waiting for other characters to go. You're sitting there, and that's the opportunity to try to jump in at that point. And if you can, you really, that's, in my mind, that's where you want somebody ability blocking this guy. So, you know, his resistance is going to be critical. He needs to be able to resist things, because if he ability blocks and you could potentially extend any of that stuff before he gets to the ultimate, you've got a better chance at surviving. But again, I mean, his passive, if you make him basic, you know, he's just bringing more and more Doom bots. So if you just keep ability blocking him, you better lock him down so that at some point he doesn't get this ultimate off. You essentially have to kill everybody, or you've got to kill him before he gets his ultimate off, because it's a really interesting dynamic. Because when you can watch this NoMG's video. I mean, at that point in time, there was no one left on the field except for Mystique, but she got hit for like 236k or something like that, and that was with 4 Doom bots. So this thing can hit pretty huge, because, you know, so it's gonna go. So and I'm jumping ahead, but he's gonna fill his speed bar. He's going to do these basics, which are basically, you know, it's going to give you disrupted. And this isn't really necessarily the exciting part. It's going to do some things, but ultimately you're getting 2 basics in so that you refill up for this special, so that when the special gets to go for the second time, that he then nukes the entire team with this special. So it's really cool. So it's, if you didn't understand what happened in it, it's basically this guy's going to special to start the match. No big deal. He waits a bunch of turns to go. And what I mean by a bunch of turns is whoever else is faster than him goes. Then he gets to his ultimate. Okay, but the key part of the ultimate is fill the speed bar rate 300%. That's what you want. He clears negative effects from himself, the most injured ally, heals himself and this other ally for 100%, which is great. So it's basically like this dude is going to live at this point. It makes it so that, if you notice, clear all negative effects from himself. So he can't be, you know, doing anything or he's gonna get this heal basically. So that's why it's important to try to avoid getting this ultimate. And then he goes to the basics, use him a couple times, gets the Doom bots, and blows everybody up. It's pretty simple, to be honest with you. Now, before I get into like counters and all this different types of stuff, I do want to talk about one aspect that I wonder about. Is this guy gonna be a burst character? You know, one of the things with Ultron was he had some sustain with the bots and continuing to summon bots and energy and nuking and even the heal bot. Now, Dr. Doom's got this gigantic heal, but it's on a 10 turn cooldown. So it's kind of like, that is huge. And I mean, if you look here, when a Fantastic Four ally drops below 50% health, grant them ability energy. So it's not getting him any ability energy. So he didn't have any ability energy there. He's got none in his ultimate here. He's got none in his special, and none in his basic. So, you know, it's interesting. So, you know, is that sustain going to be there? I think it depends with who else you got on the team, but this guy, it's going to take 10 turns for this guy to get back to the point where he's going to have this heal to bring himself all the way back up, which honestly, like, yeah, that's not a lot. So I see this guy as really kind of a nuke squad, which is great for arena. You know, and again, he's going to be nuking people on the field where it's like, okay, I mean, he's only clearing death proof from Doombot allies, but even so, like, even when he gets back to this thing, even if you have death proof on yourself, like I'm thinking of a Black Order type situation, you know, he's gonna bring you down so low that you're probably gonna have 1 HP and people are gonna finish you off, especially if you got Johnny, and Johnny just, you know, because Johnny's gonna have the opportunity to go because he's gonna have the highest damage. So, looking at the stats, look, OMG covered this. I mean, I'm taking his word for kind of where it was on the video and going to msf.gg, but it looked like it was solid, where he was going straight from the video to msf.gg, and it was all top ranked stats. You know, we can look at the resistance for a second. So you can see here, OMG showing the health here. It's 322, 659, and, you know, 18K, which, and again, he went just to msf.gg. If you're not aware, you can go to the stat table over here. This is a great tool, and you can sort by things. So in the video, you can see OMG's got 7 yellows, 4 reds, level 70, gear tier 13, and passive 5, Stark Tech 25. So when you come here and, you can check this where you just, again, you lower what you need to go. It's 13,525. So you've got the same thing here. And you go to health and it was 322K, and that's where it's just, this shows Hulk at, 246. This guy's got way more. The damage was 18K. That's 1,000 more than Black Bolt. The armor, the highest in the game is Emma Frost at 17K. You go back to the video again, and when OMG's kind of scrolling through this. So here he's got the armor at 13,309 and the focus at 7,751. And again, you go to the armor. It's like, okay, so Emma's at 17, Dark Phoenix is at 11. And again, so he's got pretty high armor between Dark Phoenix and Emma. Pretty solid. The next one that he had on there, what was it? His focus at 77. And that's the highest focus in the game. So he's going to do whatever he needs to do with clearing and adding and all that kind of stuff. So that's fine. Next up was resistance, which was, it's kind of interesting to see when he kind of goes through this. It's 4475, which I was kind of like, I look at that and it's like, you got these kind of weird resistance calcs here on MSF.GG, where Juggernaut's super high and it calcs some of that stuff. I'm not sure if that's calcing with like defense up or anything like that, but Cull Obsidian really high. I'm not sure if that's with regen. But again, it was the resistance is 4475, which is still pretty high. It's between Captain Marvel and Scarlet Witch, so not bad. It's one of the higher resists in the game. Based on this MSF.GG. And I'll put this into my own calculator that I normally do. I just, until I get the official stats in game, I'm not going to do that. I know there's still, this is really early beta. It's not even an official Envoy release, which is at least really close. So we'll do that later. But the part that I really want to focus in on is speed. So his speed is 111, which is way down here. All right. So I mentioned Graviton earlier. So let's find Grav. Okay, Graviton. So he's at 106. All right. So that means what's going to happen is Doctor Doom is going to go using his special. And then you can actually use the stun with Graviton shortly after that to slow him. And then after that slow is really when I'd be looking at dropping in that ability block. So if you have somebody who's got an ability block, it's like, all right, well, who are those people with the ability blocks first turn? So Vision is shortly before Graviton. So it's like, okay, but Vision will get to go before. So basically anybody who's above this 111 with an ability block is going to keep Doctor Doom from getting that ultimate off if they land it. Vision I've got on there. I suppose Mordo, well, he can't stun, so he's not going to do anything there. Let's see, Baron Zemo, if you save it. Korath, if you save the ultimate, want to play with RNG. X23 with her special, if you want to save that. If you want to get crazy, you can use you can save Karnak's ultimate. But, this is really just kind of focusing on a Doom killer, and you can use his ultimate for a Disrupt. Those are other things you want to think about putting on Doom as the Disrupt, right? Because you want to slow him, you want to ability block him, you want to disrupt him, right? So he doesn't get any of these buffs. And if he's got those, it helps. Granted, he's going to clear if you go back to his kit here, once he gets to that ultimate, once he pulls that off, he's clearing all those negative effects. So I guess the disrupt is maybe not as, that big a deal. But really focusing on the ability block. So Graviton stun if you want to try to, or you know what? You don't even need Graviton to stun. Somebody who can slow him. Have somebody who can slow him for getting Graviton for a second. That gives you more flexibility with the team. Got the stun, and then you want to save. You want to use any of these people I'm talking about. Baron Zemo, X23, somebody with an ability block. That ability block, and then maybe the symbiote Spider-Man to extend it. So if you've got those slows, you've got those ability blocks for extending that you can extend. You might be able to control this guy a little bit. We'll see. Again, his stats are really high, but the resistance is not. It's not really that, crazy. Again, 40-something, 4,400. It's between Rescue and Captain Marvel. And now Captain Marvel sometimes can be difficult to land things on. Rescue, not really necessarily. Scarlet Witch, Blob, maybe. But unless this guy gets some higher resistance, you might be landing that and kind of potentially countering. But That is going to be the key, in my opinion. I remember when we had Black Order come in and everyone was kind of trying to theory craft. How do you beat these guys? How do you beat these guys? What are you going to do? You got to combo this, and it didn't work. So I'm skeptical if that could even work, but it is something that I'm interested in that, you know, you might be able to use to control this guy a little bit. You know, and when you think about that, and, you know, in War, it's like, okay, War defense, but again, you've got the long cooldown with that ultimate. It's like, okay, once that goes off, if you got a team with sustain, you might be okay, and you might be able to get through it if they survive. You know, I think about if symbiotes in that case, it's like, well, can they heal themselves with some of the debuff? Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, so his stats, straight up off the chart, awesome. But I do have this concern about his resistance a little bit, and if you can sneak in the slow and then get the ability block, and Symbiote Spider-Man's a great tune, and so is Baron Zemo. You know what I mean? And so it's like, you throw Baron Zemo with some of those symbiotes, you know, drop, I don't know, I guess you could maybe drop Scream, you know, and just, you know, put Baron Zemo in there and just go to town. It's like, all right, now let's see what happens. Now you don't have the slow until you get to Symbiote Spider-Man's alt, but I don't know, you know, maybe. Well, anyway, so that's the concern I have up front about it. He looks stupid OP. He looks great. It's going to take a ton of work to get him. So, you know, I don't know how long it'll take. I'm sure some Mega Whales, I mean, remember Tadano Mac, who just flew through Dark Dimension 3 when it took, you know, a bunch of people 3+ months, which was just, you know, a long time, and he just was in it in a weekend, basically. So I'm sure people are going to get through this really, really quickly, which will be great to see what they get and how they like it, and then they're going to get through it a second time to get more reds on this guy and more yellows. But, you know, again, you know, so the question becomes, can you get to the point where you lock down this guy so much that he doesn't get this ultimate off and you can kill him? You know what I mean? And if you don't kill him in time in these extendeds, and I really think it is some sort of combination with a Symbiote Spider-Man, a Baron Zemo type, you know, again, somebody who can extend, and maybe even Graviton on there, to be honest with you. Just, you throw Graviton on there for some of the extra negative debuff extending, and so you got Symbiote Spider-Man, Graviton, Baron Zemo, and then, you know, maybe a Carnage. You know, I don't know about Anti-Venom, but, you know, you Carnage to help speed up a little bit, get some more negative effects thrown around, and then, you know, maybe one other tune for Venom just for a backup ability block to save. That, you know, and that increases his focus, so you're, you know, pretty guaranteed to land it. You can just keep ability blocking. This guy never gets his heal off, right? But, I mean, and he doesn't speed up until he gets his ultimate. This hurts, but if he just keeps basicing, you know, and again, the Doombot kits, we can, you know, look at that. So looking at these Doombots, you know, you've got the basic, again, that was the same as the Doctor Doom, where it's, you know, doing some damage, applying Disrupted. The passive, you look at here, it's when they die, they apply Deflect on Doom. On turn, if this character has more, you know, Doombots, it basically is gaining, you know, these buffs. You know, and again, no death proofs necessarily, but there's nothing here that I'm seeing that's going to find a way to heal. Now, the Deflects, you know, if they die, okay, fine, you know, it's making it harder to kill Doctor Doom, but if you can get around and try to find a way to, you know, slow this guy up, ability block it, and extend it with somebody like Symbiote Spider, then, I mean, I could see some potential there. I don't know, I don't want to get crazy on it, but that's the concern I've got there. But again, this is just off the cuff, kind of pie in the sky, you know, is it possible type thing. Yeah, I think it's probably possible. I don't know, but this guy just looks sick. I mean, I'm excited to try to play with him, to try to get him. Not excited about Dark Dimension 4 and all the, you know, grind that's going to go through that. But the good news is, I'm not hearing any requirements about ISO 8 and Dark Dimension 4 yet. So we might be safe there. And it sounds like from some of the Q&A that OMG did with Cerebro as well, we got level 80 and Gear Tier 15 coming up. So get ready. You got to get those tunes to Gear Tier 15 and get ready to get in the into Dark Dimension 4 and get the grind going. Again, pick the right tunes. If you know, I mean, and we'll start talking about that as well, everyone else. So appreciate you guys stopping by. Again, this is just kind of a reaction, you know, thoughts, you know, is there any problems with Doom that we could see? That's my initial thoughts. I think that, you know, there is some potential there. But again, I'd want to play with it, and you could easily find ways to get around that. That might be some of the stuff that you want to throw with Doom. You know, a cleanser, you know, Invisible Woman's got the ability to cleanse, right? So it's like after you get into Doom and get him unlocked, you better get Invisible Woman down or he's getting cleansed, right? So those are the things that you've got to deal with a character like this. And I definitely think Invisible Woman is going to be someone you probably want to leave with this guy. It makes sense. So hopefully this gave you some insight into what I was thinking. You know, appreciate you stopping by. Hammer down that like button, notification bell, subscription button. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.